in this particular lesson, we're going to start on trigonometry. And the first one that we're going to do is the introduction to trigonometry, and one of the first rule that we're going to see over and over again on triangles. So a triangle, we already talked about this, has three sides. It's an enclosed figure that has three sides. Although it has three sides, it actually contains 6 parts. And it's 6 because we said that there are 3 sides and 3 angles. So for our trigonometry unit, we will be trying to find the length of the missing side, usually called x. So this is just kind of telling us what notations to use later on. And the size of the missing angle is called theta. So when you see theta, that calls for an angle measurement. So the symbol of that is a Greek letter theta. So before we start to work with the sides and the angles, there is one more fact that is always true no matter what triangle you have. One more fact is that the sum, what does the word sum mean? The total added together, right? The sum of the 3 angles in a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. So that's the very first thing that we have to write down or highlight in trigonometry. The sum of the angles in a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. So this means that if we know the 2 angles, we can easily find the 3rd angle. So here's an example here. Determine the size of theta in each triangle. So you have 47, you have 62, and theta. So how big is theta?
180 subtract 62 subtract 47.
So we know that, correct, yeah. I'm going to write it one way first, and then we'll get to that part in a second. So we know with this rule, it's called the rule of 180, 47 plus 62 plus theta is equals to 180 degrees. That's rule 180. All 3 angles added together, it will equal to 180. Now, how do we solve for theta? We've already began the discussion on solving for a variable, in this case theta. So how do we solve for theta? So we subtract 47, subtract 62. Notice that this is an equation. I'm going to tie it to what we've already done before. This is an equation. There's a left side and there's a right side. And to solve the equation, what you do on one side, you got to do it on the other side. So minus 47 minus 62. So that's gone. That's gone. Now we've isolated theta. And that's why Noah said it's 180 minus 47 minus 62. And that theta is basically applying the rules for solving equations. I don't know what that is. 71 degrees. 71 degrees. Now, because this is an angle, the unit is degrees. Okay, so far so good?
What did you subtract from minus 47 and you just subtract themselves? No, the top one. No.
Yeah, we're trying to solve for theta.
Yeah, but this one equal to 180 minus 47 minus 62. You just
That is
write
less
under
than-
minus under 180, or you just write it doing this.
Oh, you can just, you can put it underneath. You can, yeah. Okay. This, I'm tying it, this is not different from solving equations, right? And that's why we talked about solving equations, because we will always solve for equation. How do we solve for this guy? Okay. This guy got added by 47. What's the opposite of adding 47? Subtracting. What's the opposite of adding 62? Subtracting 62. Okay? So this is not new. This is something that we've already done, but in the context of trigonometry.
What about if we add them both and minus them from 108?
That would be okay too. Yeah. So the question that Regiat, no. Oh my goodness, I'm getting confused with my students. Sorry. 47 plus 62 plus theta equals to 180. So here's the other possibility. We can add these two together. Okay, so that's going to give us 109 plus theta equals to 180. And then subtract 109 on each side. Okay? That's a possibility. That's okay. Yeah. Now this one. Let's try this one. This is kind of weird because now we have two angles missing. Two missing angles. So here's what we could do. Okay, what's the rule 180 say? Rule 180 says this: the sum of all three angles add up to 180. The sum. So that means theta plus 50 equal to 180. Okay, that's why it's called rule 180, because it always add up to 180. Now from here, what are we going to do? Well, if you have a theta and another theta, what is that equal to? 2 theta. So you have 2 thetas. You have 1 theta and another 1 theta. Now you have 2 thetas, right? 2 theta. So that's what that means. 2 theta plus 50 equals to 180. Okay, good. So now, how do we solve for theta? What did we do before? Think about this. If this is x, what would that be?
2x.
It would be 2x, right? Okay. So, how do we isolate this variable?
180 subtract 50.
Yeah, so first we gotta subtract 50. Subtract 50. We've done this before, so this is nothing new. So that cancels out. What remains? On the left side, 2 theta
130.
is equals to 130. Okay, so 2 times theta. What are we going to do next? Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Oh, some people went like this. The dividing symbol, don't do that anymore. Okay, so just use this. Shows divide. So 2 divided by 2 cancel each other out. So theta is equals to 130 divided by 2 is 65. I was going to put 75. 65. Okay, well, how do you know if your answer is correct?
And replace 65 in the table.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to replace this by 65 degrees. Replace this by 65 degrees. Now we go 65 plus 65 plus 50. Does it add up to 180? 65 plus 65.
Yes.
Yeah, so 180. Okay. So, one thing that we didn't really talk about here is the title talked about right angle trigonometry, but what does a right angle mean? Yeah. So when we talk about right angle, it talks about an angle, a triangle that has 90 degree on it. So let's put that in there. Okay, so right angle means angle of 90 degrees. So if we have a right triangle, okay, so the right angle is an angle of 90 degrees. So when we say a right triangle means a triangle with a 90 degree angle. Now, how do we show that it is a 90 degree angle? I think some people already know this. We don't necessarily have to measure it up, but if you see a square at the corner, that indicates that it is a 90 degree right there. 90 degree right here. Okay? Was that good? So, that concludes this lesson. There are some questions for you to work on the back here. Show your work and show your final answer with appropriate unit. And that's basically, this is where we're gonna work for a few minutes.